Love. It's a word we all long to hear, a feeling we all chase. For 10 years I thought I had it. I thought Sarah and I had built a fortress of love, brick by brick, with shared dreams and whispered promises. Our life seemed perfect, a picturesque postcard of suburban bliss. We had a beautiful home, two amazing kids, and a bond I believed was unbreakable. I was the loyal husband, the dedicated father, the man who would have walked through fire for his family. But I was also blind. I was so caught up in the beautiful picture she painted that I never looked closely at the artist. I never saw the subtle cracks in the canvas, the faint smudges of deceit that were there all along. It all started so subtly, like a slow poison. A late night at the office here, a last-minute girls' night there. I brushed it off. We were busy, life was demanding. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She was Sarah, my Sarah. The woman who'd look me in the eyes, her gaze so full of what I mistook for affection, and tell me she loved me more than anything. The woman who'd plan our family vacations with meticulous detail, creating memories I now realize were just part of the scenery for her double life. She was a master of her craft, weaving a web of lies so intricate and believable that I became its most willing captive. The first real crack in my perfect world appeared on a Tuesday. I came home early, hoping to surprise her and the kids. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. A note on the counter said she'd taken the kids to a friend's house for a play date. It seemed normal enough, but then I saw it. Her second phone. The one she'd told me was just for work. A cheap burner she didn't want to mix with her personal contacts. A little voice in my head, a voice I'd been silencing for months, screamed at me to look. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It wasn't password protected. She was either that arrogant or that certain of my ignorance. I think it was both. My world shattered in that moment. The screen lit up with messages. Not from coworkers, not from her girlfriends. They were from him. A name I didn't recognize, attached to a photo that made my stomach clench. The messages were a script from my worst nightmare. They talked about their stolen moments, their plans for the future, a future that didn't include me or our children. They called what they had real love, a soul connection. They mocked my naivety. They laughed about my trust. Every word was a dagger, twisting deeper into the heart of the life I thought we'd built together. All our memories, our inside jokes, our shared history. It all felt like a lie. It was a carefully constructed stage, and I was just an unknowing actor in her play. I sat there for hours, the phone clutched in my hand, the silence of the house deafening. I scrolled back, weeks, months. The affair wasn't new. It had been happening right under my nose, in my home, in my bed. The late nights, the sudden trips, it all clicked into place. The puzzle I never knew existed was now complete, and the picture it formed was horrifying. She wasn't just cheating, she was living a completely separate life. The woman I married, the mother of my children, was a stranger. She had played the part of the loving wife so perfectly that even I, her closest audience member, gave her a standing ovation every single night. When she finally walked through the door, her smile was radiant. She launched into a story about the kids' play date, her voice light and cheerful. She was still performing. I just stood there, holding the phone. I didn't have to say a word. The moment her eyes landed on it, the mask fell. For the first time in years, I saw the real Sarah. There was no remorse in her eyes, no flicker of guilt, just cold, hard annoyance. She was angry. Angry that her game was over. Angry that her perfect setup had been discovered. "So you know," she said, her voice flat. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. There were no apologies, no tears, no desperate pleas for forgiveness. She simply started to defend her actions, talking about how she felt unseen, how he understood her, in a way I never could. It was a classic cheater's script full of blame-shifting and self-pity. She tried to rewrite our history, painting me as the distant, uncaring husband to justify her betrayal. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw it for what it was. A pathetic attempt to retain control of the narrative, to be the victim in a tragedy she had authored. The hardest part wasn't the affair itself. It was the realization that the love I had cherished for a decade was a complete fabrication. It was a tool she used for her own benefit, to maintain a comfortable life while seeking excitement elsewhere. Her "I love yous" were just lines in her script. Our entire relationship had been a game, and I had been the easiest player to fool because I desperately wanted to believe it was real. I was her security, her stability, her fallback plan. He was her thrill. She wanted both, and for a long time, she had it. I filed for divorce the next day. The process was messy, painful, and filled with more of her manipulations. But through it all, a strange sense of clarity emerged from the wreckage. I was free. Free from the lies, free from the constant low-level anxiety that I'd been living with but couldn't name. I was no longer a pawn in her game. Rebuilding my life has been the hardest thing I've ever done. There are days when the phantom pain of that betrayal still aches. But now, when I look at my kids, I know I'm building something real for them. A home based on honesty and genuine love, not a stage for a deceptive play. This experience taught me a brutal but valuable lesson. Some people are masters of disguise. They can wear the mask of love so convincingly that you'd swear it was their real face. But eventually, the mask slips. My advice to anyone watching this is to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't be so in love with the idea of love that you ignore the reality in front of you. My story is one of heartbreak, but it's also a story of survival and rediscovery. I lost what I thought was love, but in the end I found myself. Thank you for listening to my story. It's not easy to share, but if it can help even one person see the signs they might be ignoring, then it's worth it. If you've been through something similar, know that you're not alone and you can rebuild. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more stories. Stay safe and take care of yourselves.